Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging with your host and belonging expert, Dia Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. I have someone really special. I can't wait to introduce you to a military veteran and the author of Duly Noted. I'm Dia, your host, and get ready to be inspired and blessed. Let's welcome Diana Graham. Welcome, Diana.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So excited. Well, I have to tell you a little bit more about our guest. It's going to blow your mind. She, first of all, is the owner and CEO of Crowned for Success Global Consulting, LLC. She has an alphabet of credentials, the MPA, MBA, and she goes by DNG sometimes. So, I mean, and she's not just about credentials. She is about charting extraordinary paths for individuals and organizations worldwide. With an impressive academic journey crowned by dual master's degrees in business administration and public administration, preceded by a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and an Associate of Arts in General Studies, all with honors, her commitment to excellence is quite evident. She is, like I mentioned, a veteran of the United States Army, North Carolina National Guard. And Diana's journey started years before the intensity of Operation Iraqi Freedom, serving as a battalion-level patient administrator in 2005. So she did have active service. Now we're going to fast forward to today. Her unwavering dedication thrives in the impactful development of policies, projects, and programs within military communities, fostering change, sustainable results, and positive impacts. Diana, DNG, as some people call her, embodies the quintessential coach, a visionary leader with global mindset. Her brainchild for business, Crowned for Success Global Consulting, CSGC, see, she's military, she likes all those alphabets, LLC, stands as a beacon of human capital development. The trifecta model, develop and deploy, education and training, and speaking, propels industries worldwide forward, offering invaluable products and services. An author with a purpose, her debut book, more to come, Duly Noted, stands as a flare of self-improvement, a call to action. There's some military input for those seeking progression. More literary treasures are in the works. Stay connected for transformative insights. Wow. Diana, did I leave anything out?
Dia, you were reading, and I was like, you're sharing, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. But it takes these moments for you to step back and say, life has been full. Now we can see where all the dice have landed. So no, you did not. Thank you so much.
You have had an amazing life, and I really am excited about what you're able to accomplish through your company. Did you have a time in your life where things weren't so full, or maybe you didn't feel like you belonged, or you always felt like you belonged, your life was always full, but there was somebody in your life that you a long time ago had the seed of wanting to coach someone to belong or make progress in life?
I would say, Dia, I'm all of those pieces of the puzzle. Each each one has played an intricate part that's led up to who I am in present day. I do remember my early ages of life being really, really, really supported, really feeling like I belonged from my household community, my mom, my dad, my brothers, and my maternal grandmother. And so it was always this level of support and pushing, and you can do whatever you want to do, be whatever you want to be. It wasn't until I had more introductions to outside of the family complex where I started to see belonging was a thing because I didn't know that it wasn't. And so I remember the first time that there was something I really wanted to do in the community, and it wasn't an audition, but it was really like the leadership just picked who they wanted. And I just wasn't the cream of the crop for them. I later learned it was because they didn't really kind of fully care for my parents, but as a child, you don't know those things, right? And so I remember what that feeling felt like because the kids that I was cool with, that I called friends, were able to participate in that thing. And so I knew what that felt like to hurt. And so that was my first piece of, yes, I know what belonging is because it's in my household, but now I'm learning what not belonging is because community is showing it to me. And so, because I had now experienced that really early in life, I became the one in the classroom that wanted to help others more. So, if you were running behind or didn't understand it because I was a fast thinker, fast learner, hey, Miss Berry, third grade teacher, can I help so and so to accomplish or to finish whatever? I didn't say accomplish. I didn't know that word at that age, but can I help them to do whatever it is?
What,
And so
in
it
third
kind of
grade,
became
you didn't have
a
your
network.
vocabulary down?
Was not there in third grade. But yeah, so I feel like starting off early in life, elementary age, I became knowledgeable of what those different pieces of a puzzle was.
Well, that's amazing. So, who you are now, a coach,
Mhm.
helping other people, that is part of who you are because it
Yes.
showed up way back when. I mean, you
Mhm.
could have gone multiple other options, been bitter, then been, coming out for revenge, or been hiding yourself and not caring about anybody else. That's amazing that you were able to turn that disappointment into service, which is
Yeah.
a nice thing for us to do when we get disappointed about how things are going. Did you know that maybe one day, all the way from third grade, this was something you felt really good about that you wanted to do?
Dia, honestly, no. I never knew that consulting and serving in this way would be what my life would end up being. But what I did know, and it's interesting, my parents, we kind of talk about this now at my age of 41, and it's the oldest child. Thinking back on my journals from childhood, I always wrote about serving people. And I honestly thought, because I saw it the most, attorney, like that's the path, be an attorney, be an attorney. And that's not the path that I went down, but I still get that childhood journal of serving people. So I did not know that this would be the path, but I still feel like I got to accomplish that childhood dream.
That's how did you choose this route, the consulting?
Consulting came as when I no longer had the love for law, never, because law was really, really big for me. I thought that was my plot in life. It's what I was going to do. And when I came back from Operation Iraqi Freedom, it's like I had a new awakening. I was like, how do people serve this country? And these are some of the results. These are some of the things they're facing, meeting more military children, the spouses, and then, it's a domino effect, the mothers, the grandmothers. And so that became my initial heart of how do I serve? And so when I went to grad school, I did my first master's in public administration because I thought, okay, I need to work for the federal government. I need to find a way to help my service members. And it was through that process and writing that thesis for that master's degree, I wrote about transitioning from military to civilian life and begin to discover like all the different parameters, TBI, PTSD, like there's a whole gamut of different things. And then it hit me. Transition is hard for everybody. It's not, I mean, yes, I'm focused right now on military, but like it's hard for everybody from being single to being in a relationship, from being at home with your parents to going to college to an internship to actually being employed. So all of these things are consistently happening, but I don't know if we were paying much attention to the effects of transition. And so that became a pivotal turning point for me of how do we do this for organizations as well as people? People coaching, organizations consulting. And that's how we got here.
Wow. There is a lot of belonging in that because you you can belong in the military, you know all the expectations, you're doing all the, everybody there knows what the expectations are, you're showing up, and then that transition into civilian life, it has to be hard because, well, just like coming out of your home where there was real solid belonging and going out into the real world, the same with military. It's kind of like your home, and then you come out in the real world, and everybody has a different way of living their life, and finding a way to belong in that is challenging. So how do you help someone or work through it? Or there's some, just off the top of your head or in your heart, tips on any transition of
Yeah,
having in
absolutely.
mind?
When I think of transitioning for an individual, I like folks to stop and do some reflection. I personally do not believe that we spend adequate timing in reflection because reflection is hard. It sometimes can be the thing that can take you down a spiral that you do not want to go down. However, if we're honest with ourselves, we will actually see where we are. And the truth of the matter is, we can never go where we want to be if we first don't understand where we currently are. And so when we get to work with folks around coaching, we want to say, hey, all of your dots connect. I know you want to take out this portion of your life or that portion where it was a valley and not a peak. But the reality is, I've never learned anything at my peaks. I learned everything from the valleys. And so understanding that all of your dots connect, and let's find out where those dots are so that we can chart them appropriately. So reflection is definitely number one. And then understanding that our dots connect. Your life is worth living. Let's find out where you've been. And then let's have some level of awareness or identification of where we want to go. Because if you don't know where you want to go, any road can lead you there. And I believe that's Oscar Wilde. Like it's very true. So that's what I would give immediately, those 3 steps.
So that was reflection and recognizing the dots connect.
Knowing your dots connect.
And knowing where you want to go or seeing where you are.
Yeah, you got to. So the reflection is going to help us to know where we are. Then we're going to understand that all of our dots connect. So that's because we don't want to take away anything. There's oftentimes I feel like we make things so small because we don't think they're big in comparison to other people or other things that other people have done. And so now you're in a game of comparison, and the only thing you should compete with is yourself to be a better version tomorrow than you were today. And so I want you to understand the value of each step that you've taken, each environment that you've entered, and what it's helped to either produce or help you to learn to stay away from. So yes, we have to first reflect. We have to know that all of our dots connect. And then the third piece, like you said, absolutely, we got to know where we want to go. We got to get crystal clear on that vision. So in the consulting part, we do 3 C's with CSGLC with the company. Oh, I know you use the letters. So 3 C's with Crown for Success, basically. And the 3 C's are very simple. Once folks get it and they go through these workshops and they keep implementing it over and over, it goes from the C-suite all the way down to entry level. And it's clarity, communication, community.
Commitment.
When you have those 3 C's, you really can find a place of good foundation that you can maneuver in any industry, in any environment, but you have to have them. Clarity, communication, community.
That's very basic, but it's necessary. You have to have the clarity, or you don't, I mean, you can't see what you're doing. Communication. Now, that is communication with or between whom?
That communication is going to be like a full circle, because the interesting thing is that we love to talk, right? We talk. Even introverts, they're talking to themselves, but we're talking at such a level that we don't have clarity. So we're communicating something not really in alignment with what we're trying to achieve, because we just want to have the conversation, but we're not clear. So if you're not clear, you're leading me to think you want to go to Streets at South Point Mall to go shopping, but really you want a Triangle Town Center. So we got to have the clarity first before we can communicate.
Okay. And then the last one was commitment.
Community.
Community. Well, there's the belonging. There's the belonging. I mean, you might have heard this before, but no man is an island, and neither is a woman. You have to, if you're going to live out your life, you need community. You need that support. You need to be reminded of where you're going and what you're about. And it's so true about the clarity. I mean, And like you said, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. But if you know that you want to go to New York, then you're not going to get on a bus that takes you to New Orleans.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you
But
have
how
to,
many times do you hear people say, Dia, I just want to take a trip? Well, take a trip where? How long do you want to stay? What's the budget? Are you going for what kind of vibe do you want when you get there? Like what do you want to accomplish on the trip? Is it a new experience of nature or like all of those things will lead up to the other, but because we lack so much in clarity, we can't
Mhm.
fully communicate so that they can help us to either find the community where we can belong and we can thrive. But instead, we just communicate and we end up in places where we don't belong and we
Right,
cannot.
right. Well, that has a lot to do with in the business world. Well, I just want to own
Hmm.
my own business. Well,
Hmm.
why and what kind of business and who do you want? Who is your target audience? Or
Hmm.
who are you going to serve? What is your end goal? How much do you need to invest? Well, all the
Yeah.
questions that come together
Hmm.
in being your own boss. Well, I don't know. I just want to do.
I want to control my own schedule.
Yes, right. So, how many did you keep all of your journals? Do you have a whole stack of journals? And what prompted you? Who helped you get started writing journals?
Well, I don't have any of the one. I only have maybe one from childhood. I'm looking over at the bookshelf. I only have one remaining from previous earlier years of life. But what prompted it is my dad would have us to read a book. Like we could pick the book of our choice, a chapter book, and we would always have to write some level of a report about it. And the report would have a deadline and when it would need to be, at a certain place on the counter so that him and mom could review it. It was his thing. It's what he embedded in us. And so because we did that, I fell in love with penmanship. And from penmanship to stationery. So I would always write. I'm a writer to the day. Like I will make a to-do list. I love the ability. It's like it crystallizes it for me. If it's not written, it's not real. And so dad started that. And here I am as an adult. I still journal, but I journal in a different way. And so even when we get to coach with folks and we talk about belonging, I need you to journal in a way of what your foresight is. I don't need you to journal about what happened to you because we don't want to live in that space. You already know it, you have it. But if you woke up tomorrow and your life was exactly what you wanted it to be, write that. And so writing is just amazing. Every day I do a gratitude journal. I write 3 things at minimum from the day that I'm totally grateful for. And so dad started it, and here it is to today. The last thing I'll leave about the writing, I love writing so much. We turned my penmanship into a software, and so now it's a font. So it hasn't hit the market yet. We're trying to decide how we want to roll that out, working with the attorneys and all those things. But dad deposited that seed by writing.
I love that. There's so much here and talking with you and what you've shared. And I know the belongers are eating it up, but we need to take a break and we'll be right back with Diana Graham. Be right back. Hey there! Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we are back with Diana Graham, an amazing person that's accomplished so much in her life already, sharing her wisdom with us. Now, as you know, on the second half, I like to ask our guest, what are they most proud of? What is their greatest accomplishment? So I'm going to present that question to you.
Yeah, so I would immediately say serving my country in Operation Iraqi Freedom, in addition to finishing all 4 of my degrees, all in my 20s. And the reason that stands out as a greatest accomplishment is because I am from a very rural county where textiles and things of that such was very much, and farming was the way of living for many that I saw around me. And my dad built houses for a living, and my mom supported him in that. And so they ran the company together, and they always forced us to go do more than we've done, be more than we have been, like go see the world, explore, come into your own self. And so I really felt that I made them proud in addition to myself by doing all of that in my 20s and truly laying a foundation of what could come next for me. So that's why, that's the disclaimer of why that stands out as greatest accomplishment.
Getting it all accomplished in your 20s is amazing. So much, all your degrees, and it gave you that foundation, that jumping off place to do as your parents wanted you to, anything, to go for it. Do you think people, was it the parents' encouragement that gave you the motivation? And how can you motivate people if they don't have parents like yours? I mean, this is
I
what
write to
I find, especially today, motivation is like lacking.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think there's two sides to every coin, right? There's always a cause and an effect, and there's always this opportunity. I'm a firm believer in my faith, and so for me, it's if it didn't work this time this way, doesn't mean it's the end. There just may be another. I could still have the same desired destination. I may just need to choose another path. Kind of like me, I thought it was all being an attorney, but it wasn't. It was being a consultant, but it still ended up with serving people. So what and duly noted, the first published book, the first chapter is called Foundations. And I write about my experience of having a foundation from my parents. However, if you didn't have that, you have the opportunity. If you wake up with the air in your lungs and the ability to think, you can create whatever that foundation is. And oftentimes folks say, well, I don't know where to start. Start putting yourself in places where you want to belong. So that could be something as simple as instead of going to McDonald's and getting a cup of coffee in the drive-through window, go find a coffee shop to sit in and embrace the environment because it's somewhere that you want to belong. I just said at a meeting last night, everything has levels. And you have to determine which level you're currently at, that reflection, and which level you're aiming to get towards. And keep placing yourself in those environments because I promise you, you'll have some type of conversation. You'll be exposed to some kind of event you may be invited to. And those things help to build what that new foundation could be for you to actually belong.
Changing where you are gives you opportunities to face understanding where you can go, right? Yeah, I was talking with someone the other day who was thinking about being a nurse, but she wanted to travel. And I said, well, you could become a nurse and you could be a travel nurse. And she goes,
Absolutely.
oh, like, and that hadn't ever even thought about that. We need to push ourselves out there, just like your parents encouraged you, because there's so much more. But we have to get clear about what we want to be able to go out there, just like you've said. Fabulous. So what makes you feel like you belong?
Faith, community, and support.
Ooh, do you have that written down in your dually anywhere?
I
Or is that your
don't.
next book?
It just, as you said it to me, I thought, what are my things that ground me? And those are the three that stand out. 1 and 3 are my numbers.
Faith.
Say again.
What? Name those again. Faith. I know the last one was footwork. What was the middle one?
It was faith, support, and family. No, what was it? It was faith, community, and support. Faith, community, support. Faith is very grounding for me. So I have to know who I am and whose I am to rebuild my internal confidence so that when I do face the community, if it's a community that I don't really belong, and I could not belong because simply we just don't align, that's okay. But I can still leave with my own confidence that there is somewhere where I can feel like I belong. And then the support of, we've been looking for you. We've been waiting for you. Oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be. And so all three of them mesh together. I don't think I can have one without the others because to me, they're all the melting pot that makes up for Diana.
And the last one, footwork. Did you say
No,
foot?
I probably said footwork and probably one of my quotes. I'm forever giving a quote or a statement. But you do have to do the work. I do agree with that.
Yes, it doesn't just come to you, but
Mm-mm.
when you work for it, you are more involved in it, and the reward is so much sweeter
Mhm.
than if somebody just handed it to you. You
Mhm.
can't
Mhm.
appreciate what you have. I like the idea of a gratitude journal, thinking
Mm.
of 3 things that you can be grateful for. That also helps you have a positive attitude. I feel like there are 2 kinds of people. There are hummingbirds and vultures. There might be a third
Ooh.
one, but a hummingbird flies around looking for the sweet nectar, and that's what they
Mhm.
find. That's what they're looking for. What does a vulture look for? Dead stuff. So what do they
Mhm.
find? What they're looking
I
for.
did so.
And I've met people that are vultures.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
can't you think of, I mean, don't you want to, and well, it's an Eeyore,
Mhm. Yes.
Winnie the Pooh, everything's terrible. But
Mhm.
I can tell that you totally are a hummingbird because that's part of what you get out of doing your gratitude journal. You're thinking, what sweet nectar did I have today?
Mhm.
And all of this kind of leads to your favorite quote. What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is, "What you are expecting is expecting you." So what I'm expecting is expecting me. If I'm expecting a great day I shall have. If I'm expecting to close the deal with XYZ company for XYZ organization for our company, then that's what I'll have. So I intentionally know that what I am expecting is expecting me. It's just a waiting for my arrival. It's a waiting for the moment so it can be birthed because everything is in seed form until it's nurtured appropriately. And so whatever I'm expecting is expecting me.
And that goes back to the idea you mentioned faith, that
Mhm.
God created us to accomplish a certain something, and it's out
Mhm.
there. And He's prepared us to have the skills and abilities and base it on our experiences we've had to be able to do what's out there. So it's all planned out. We just need to get there and apply ourselves and work and
Mhm.
know that we'll have a community of support to help us do what we're supposed to do, and just have the faith that everybody is here with a purpose, for a
Yes.
purpose, and
Mhm.
we just need to do it. So tell me, we have a few minutes left. Tell me what it looks like, or who is your ideal person to work with, and then what does it look like when they have clarity and realize we need to work with Diana.
I would love to say, and this is truly from a space of respect and a space of identification, but someone who's ready. Like, Dia, you've seen it. Like, so many folks, I think, but like, okay, cool, we hear it. But like, who's ready? Who has some level? Now, the fire may not be a forest fire, but there's a flame, right? If who's ready would be our ideal client. And when I say ready, meaning you're here, you want to get to there. So let us get to a person that's ready to have the infrastructure built. And now we can help you cross whatever this bridge is or build whatever this bridge needs to be. But if you're not ready, I often say we're not the ones for you because I'm super, super results oriented because I know when people are able to put a check mark in the box that they've accomplished some of the things that's on their list, it fuels their motivation to want to do more. But if you're not ready, it's just another meeting you're having, another coaching session, another mentorship. You don't take it seriously. You don't place the value that it demands. And that's just not the best use of our time either. And so to be respectful, to be professional, to ensure we're both moving in directions that we're desiring, it has to be someone that is ready.
I really like that. So, what I just realized is your dad was a builder and
Mm-hmm.
you are building.
Mm-hmm.
You're building people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents set the example of building. Now, yes, they have to be ready. What is the problem you're solving for them?
Generally, I'm going to think of some of our clients that we've served as from a coaching level. It's generally the ones that know they're supposed to have some level of impact or influence with a certain group or population, and they don't know how to do it. For an example, there was one client we worked with, very smart in her career, was doing the great things she needed to do, but personally, she had some passions that were burning and that did not necessarily align with the work she was doing. But the passions were birthed because she had an ill child. And when something's that close, you want to find a way to solve the problem. And so we worked with her of how can she use her voice? How can she build a platform to speak more about this illness, to speak about what medications are available to help folks to navigate this course? Because now her child's a teenager. And we worked with her of what that could look like, of creating that message and who it could be targeted towards. She ended up on a deal where she flew out to the manufacturers for the medication. She was on one of their commercials. We got her where she was even connected with Oprah's, with the Harpo Network, and she got to do some work with that. And so that's the example of a client of, I know there's more. I'm doing good in this area, but there's also this, because we're also taught that you can't do everything. You can only do one thing. That's true, right? It's true to an extent. There is a moment where you need to focus on something, build it, let it run, and then maybe we can introduce some other things. And you can have it all. It's just not at the same time. And so being able to have knowing that you don't have the capacity and to bring on us to be able to help, we're really honored to see her thrive in that space. And now the daughter is very active for something that she once didn't think that she should shout out from the rooftop. She has an illness and she's dealing with this to, let me be a voice of reason. Like, this is what I've suffered with. This is what I've endured. And because my mom has taken this stance, I can too, to further support this mission.
That has got to be so rewarding.
Very.
Very. Wow. This has been fantastic, Diana, and I appreciate you being here. Before we sign off, is there any final or punchline or words that you would like to say to our belongers out there?
Belongers, always remembering the words of my mom. You don't have to understand what's on the entire staircase. Just do the thing that's right in front of you and enjoy the fruits of your labor there, and the staircase will appear.
I like that. Just what's in front of you. And of course, building stairs as part of a house construction would be what your mom is going to think of.
I love my parents.
Yeah. And the stairs will continue to appear because they're building it. So anyway.
You got it, Dia.
Has been amazing. Belongers, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember you belong. This is Dia Irby with Here Where You Belong, signing off. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Here Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.